I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today we're reading from the book of 1 Chronicles, chapter 22. Let's focus on verses 7 through 10. And David said to Solomon, "My son, as for me, it was in my mind to build a house to the name of the Lord my God. But the word of the Lord came to me, saying, You have shed much blood and have made great wars. You shall not build a house for my name, because you have shed much blood on the earth in my sight. Behold, a son shall be born to you, who shall be a man of rest, and I will give him rest from all of his enemies all around. And his name shall be Solomon, for I will give peace and quietness to Israel in his days. And he shall build a house for my name, and he shall be my son, and I will be his father, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom over Israel forever." Now, reading today's passage, I'm reminded of the old man who was bragging to a friend about his new hearing aid. He says, "This is the best hearing aid on the market." And his friend says, "Oh yeah, well, what kind is it?" And the man glanced at his watch and he says, "About 4:30. Sometimes your response testifies that you weren't really hearing the conversation clearly. David believed that he had heard the Lord say that his son Solomon would build the temple, because the name Solomon is derived from the word shalom, which means peace. And David assumed the Lord was talking about his immediate son Solomon. So David began setting aside provisions and architects and builders so Solomon could begin construction without hindrance upon David's death. And indeed, Solomon did oversee the temple's construction in Jerusalem, and the Lord blessed it with signs of his presence. But when the Lord was speaking to David, there was another Solomon that God was ultimately referring to. Not the boy who was named Peace, but ultimately, God was talking of the God-man, the Son of David, whose title also is Prince of Peace. Isaiah 9:6, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulder, and his name will be called Wonderful Counselor." Well, of course, that's a title for the Holy Spirit. "Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." What is he saying? Well, Isaiah is saying that when Jesus comes, he'll be born, right, as a baby. Isaiah is the one who said he would be born of a virgin. The government will be on his shoulders, and he'll say, well, what's his name? Well, you know, mighty God exists as Wonderful Counselor, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Matthew chapter 1, verse 1 says this, "This is the book of the genealogy of the Messiah, Jesus, son of David, son of Abraham." Revelation 22, verse 16, "I, Jesus, have sent my angel to testify to you these things in the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David, the bright and morning star." So just as David had subdued all of Israel's enemies, clearing a pathway to a peaceful reign for Solomon, God is doing so even now for the everlasting reign of the Messiah, Jesus. And that's why Jesus quoted David's prophetic Psalm 110, where David testifies to God's statement of the certainty and of the security for the Messiah's kingdom. Matthew chapter 22, verse 44, "The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under your feet." You see, the temple in Jerusalem was a beautiful, beautiful building, but the kingdom of Solomon became corrupted by Solomon's compromise. You know, only the kingdom of Jesus is established forever. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Groundworks Ministries operates entirely through financial donations from faithful people like you. Your giving to Groundworks Ministries transforms lives. Would you consider making a donation to Groundworks Ministries today? Because we need your monthly support now more than ever. And donating is secure and it's easy on our website, groundworksministries.com. There's another way to help us, and that is to tell people about Groundworks Ministries. Share these podcasts with friends and family and on your social media. And of course, you can always direct folks to our website, groundworksministries.com.